It's often called the lender of the last resort, but Pakistan never seems to get enough of the International Monetary Fund. The government is negotiating its 22nd IMF bailout package since 1950, even as the finance minister says the balance of payments crisis is over, thanks to some generosity from its allies.
$12 billion का हमने आपको गैप बताया था.
I told you we needed $12 billion. We have received $6 billion from Saudi Arabia, and we expect support from China as well. So the immediate balance of payments crisis that Pakistan was facing is now over.
Saudi Arabia has given $3 billion in cash to help shore up Pakistan's foreign currency reserves. It's providing a further $3 billion loan in the form of deferred oil payments, and the government expects similar support from China and the United Arab Emirates. Experts say the commitments from other countries should help Pakistan secure more lenient terms from the IMF. They expect the government to seek a loan for $12 billion at an interest rate of 2%. In response, the lender will likely want to see tax collection rise. The government will have to share its plans to privatize loss-making public sector entities, and the central bank will have to stop intervening in currency markets and let the Pakistani rupee depreciate against other currencies. That should breathe life into stagnating exports.
We are hoping that we will be exporting more value-added textiles. Then basically we have agricultural products, we have sports goods, we have surgical equipment which we export from Pakistan, leather goods. Pakistan needs to export. So we want to sort of get some help in pushing our exports.
But critics say tax evasion and poor governance lie at the heart of Pakistan's economic troubles. And unless Khan's government can get people and businesses to pay their fair share, this 22nd trip to the IMF may not be its last. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
And Mobin joins me now here in the studio. Hi, Mobin. So we heard the finance minister sounding a lot more upbeat about the state of Pakistan's finances. It's a huge difference from what he was saying just a few weeks ago, where he basically said the country was broke. Why has he changed his tune?
It's quite a turn, you're right, but I think there's a method to this madness. Look, Pakistan's currency was extremely overvalued. It was always going to be a precondition with the IMF or with any other lenders to depreciate it. The trouble with that, of course, is that it's an unpopular decision. And I think he made a smart move there by basically making those comments, letting the rupee depreciate 7.5% right off the bat as soon as they took office. And now, going forward, hopefully, at least for the next few months, the government won't have to deal with further pressure on the rupee and can go into negotiations with the IMF, but also with international investors.
So let's talk about the IMF, because if the finance minister says Pakistan's payments crisis is now over, why is it seeking billions of dollars from the International Monetary Fund?
I think Pakistan's economic crisis is exactly where it was a week back. Of course, this money has been pledged, but much of this is window dressing. Keep in mind, $3 billion that Saudi Arabia has given to Pakistan is essentially to shore up its reserves, but not necessarily to be spent. Similarly, the oil facility, of course, all $3 billion will not be utilized upfront. And again, whether it's this money or the $1 billion that we heard today from his economic advisor that China has provided, these are all one-off payments. Pakistan's problems are deeper, and if it is to go down the path of reforms, it will need more fuel for that journey. An IMF package, on the other hand, will be tranches that will be dispersed over a period of months, if not years. And of course, that really is the kind of support that the economy is going to need in the time that Asad Omar and his economic team hope to shore up revenues, but also boost exports, which is essentially what the country needs. It needs to be selling to the world, not borrowing from the world.
Okay, let's talk about the Chinese connection, because when Imran Khan claimed victory in the country's elections, he specifically mentioned forging closer ties, economic ties that is, with China. Why is Pakistan so keen to court China's relationship, and is Beijing feeling just as keen?
Sure, and I think, of course, Pakistan has always, successive governments have always said that they're close to China, but there's rhetoric is one thing, but then putting the plan into action is another. We've seen that the wheels have been moving on Pakistan and China's economic cooperation also under the previous government in the face of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. But I think it's becoming a little more visible now because of Pakistan's pivot perhaps away from the United States and those funds drying up. Of course, China does need Pakistan to the extent that the CPEC project is a part of the broader Belt Road Initiative. But of course, Pakistan, would really like to have greater access to a large market that is as close to it as China is. And from reports that we've been receiving today, the government, one of the things that it's asking for is more leniency for Pakistani exports to China. And if they're able to get those kind of duties that are given to ASEAN countries, to Bangladesh, perhaps that could really give a bit of a boost to Pakistani exporters.
Interesting, and we'll see how those talks with the IMF proceed. Mobin Nasir, thank you as always.